in these streets.
Man, I'm just like you.
We getting locked by these caps.
Man, I'm just like you.
We fulfill the prophecies.
Man, I'm just like you.
You might be light, I might be dark.
But I'm just like you.
We kill each other over colors.
Damn, I'm just like you.
I'm in these ghettos, in these slums.
I'm just like you.
They call you nigga, call me spick.
And I'm just like you.
You was 1619, I was 1492. We getting shot in these streets.
Man, I'm just like you.
We getting locked by these caps.
Welcome to FCN Quick News of the Day. I'm your host, Officer Pagiel. In today's news,
racial discrimination is linked to suicidal thoughts in black adults and children.
what a surprise. Let's scroll down a little bit. Scroll down, let's read the highlighted part. Read that.
Douglas published his first autobiography,
So Frederick Douglass, right? This is talking about Frederick Douglass. Read.
narrative of the life of Frederick Douglass
Uh-huh.
in 1845.
Notice the year, 1845. Read.
In it, he boldly shared, I often found myself regretting my own existence and wishing myself dead. And but for the hope of being free, I have no doubt that I should have killed myself or done something for which I should have been killed.
Now, that's something that he was saying in 1845. And Frederick Douglass is not a regular person. He was well known, right? So let's go back to the article. Notice what he's saying. He's saying the same thing that our people are saying today. Scroll down a little bit. Let's read the second highlighted part. Read that.
Several studies have reported that exposure to discrimination
Same thing. Read.
is related to negative mental and physical health
Read.
outcomes in black Americans.
Keep reading.
These can include increased rates of depression,
Depression,
hypertension, and sleep disturbance.
sleep disturbance. You see what happens? You see what happens when we're experiencing racism in America? This is what happens. It's the same thing that Frederick Douglass was experiencing in 1845. This is 2021. Scroll down. Read the third highlighted part. Read that. We found
that black men who reported more frequent encounters with racial discrimination were more likely to experience depression symptoms and thoughts of suicide at some point during their lifetime.
So while we're experiencing the same mindset as we did doing back in 1845, 1600, 1492, it's because racism still exists. Discrimination is still happening. Let's go to Psalms 89, verse 34. Let's see something about God. Because you know it's God. God is in control. God is the one who's doing all that. Let's go to Psalm 89. Let's read verse 4.
Psalms chapter 89 and verse 34.
34, yep.
My covenant will I not break, nor alter the thing that is gone out of my lips.
So one thing you have to understand about God, his word is bond. Whatever he said, he's going to do 100%. So let's go to Deuteronomy 28. Let's read verse 15.
Deuteronomy chapter 28 and verse 15. But it shall come to pass.
He's talking to the blacks, the Hispanics, and Native Americans, who are the Israelites. Read.
If thou wilt not hearken unto the voice of the Lord thy God,
So he says, if you don't listen to my commandments, read.
to observe to do all his commandments
Uh-huh.
and his statutes, which I command thee this day,
Uh-huh.
that all these curses shall come upon thee and overtake thee.
So he said, I'm going to curse you. I'm going to put a curse on you specifically that when you're among these nations, read verse 65. Let's see how our mindset will be.
Verse 65. And among these nations shalt thou find no ease.
You will be stressed. You won't be able to sleep. Same thing, running from slave masters, running from slave catchers. Now you're running from police. Now you're running from your boss. Now you're running from your teachers. Same thing. Read.
Neither shall the sole of thy foot have rest.
What will happen to us? Read.
But the Lord shall give thee there a trembling heart and failing of eyes and sorrow of mind.
So God said he will always give us a sorrow of mind. That's one of the curses that he put on the blacks, the Hispanics, and Native Americans, who are the Israelites. Let's go to Sirach, chapter 30. Let's read verse 21 to 24. Because God is not playing. He said, I'm not going to break my covenant. I am not going to change the stuff that came out of my lips. Read.
Sirach, chapter 30 and verse 21. Give not over thy mind to heaviness.
But this is what God said. God says, don't give your mind to that stuff. Read.
And afflict not thyself in thine own counsel.
Don't think you could change your ways by doing your own thing. No, you got to keep God's commandments. The reason we're in this condition is because we broke God's commandments. So when you afflict yourself in your own counsel, you say, you know what? Let me go to therapy. Not saying there's something wrong with that, but let me find an alternative so you could get rid of your depression. Read.
The gladness of the heart is the life of man, and the joyfulness of a man prolongeth his days.
Read.
Love thine own soul, and comfort thy heart. Remove sorrow far from thee, for sorrow hath killed many, and there is no profit therein.
So God says you have to remove sorrow far from you. So when you remove sorrow, guess what you start to do? When you start to seek God, you start to do this. John 14, verse 15. Read.
Verse 24.
Now go to John 14, verse 15.
Yes, sir.
Read that. Because God says we have to remove sorrow. Let's see when you remove sorrow, what you start to do. John 14, verse 15.
John chapter 14 and verse 15. If ye love me, keep my commandments.
So there you go. When you start to love God, guess what you start to do? You start to be glad. You start to keep his commandments. You start to say, you know what? Let me stop doing the things that got me cursed for my feet to not have rest, for the sole of my foot to be running everywhere. Never have an ease of mind. Read. Read it again.
If ye love me, keep my commandments.
And when you start keeping God's commandments, this is what's going to happen. Verse 18.
Verse 18. I will not leave you comfortless. I will come to you. God
will send Christ. Christ is going to start giving us comfort. That heavy discrimination that we're experiencing, the thing that Frederick Douglass has since 1845, he said, you know what? Don't worry, I got you. This is nothing. The police brutality, being fired from jobs, teachers taking away your history, saying you're good for nothing, just teaching a whole bunch of stuff that has nothing to do with you. He says, don't worry, I will bring you comfort. Now go to verse 27.
Verse 27. Peace I leave with you.
That's what he's going to do. He's going to leave you peace. Read.
My peace I give unto you. Not as the world giveth.
Not as the world giveth. Not like the world say, listen, all you need to do is make sure you play video games, go see a doctor. No. That's not the reason we're in this condition. God said he will not alter his covenant or alter anything that came out of his lips. The same way he says, if you break my commandments, I'm going to make you have a sorrow of mind, not peace of heart. All that is the same way he said, if you keep my commandments, I'm going to give you peace. Read verse 27 again.
Peace I leave with you. My peace I give unto you. Not as the world giveth, give I unto you. Let not your heart be troubled, neither let it be afraid. God says, don't let your heart trouble yourself. Don't trouble yourself with the stuff that you see in this world. Come to him, and then you will have peace. That's what God promised to the Israelites, who are the so-called blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans.
Shalom, Israel. This is Bishop Nathaniel. I want you to know that you can view all our Sabbath classes live on IUIC TV. That's right, I said on IUIC TV. Download the app today. Shalom.
We used to scream black power while Heron was pushed. But at the end of the day, nothing's in vain. IUIC has been given a vision. The tents of Judah has risen. Many has attempted the mission, minor murmuring, omitting, and missing the mark. Just reading that he had the flame of fire in his eyes gave us the spark. We on Paul's mission. We out on the road, purple and gold, from Mexico, Cuba, Haiti, Ghana, Sierra Leone. 144,000 boots banging, concrete crackling. These are our men repented at heart. The scriptures is proof. IUIC, we deliver the truth.